Okay, with that video uploading, I'm going to add this to it. So, never had a psychotic breakdown, which is what people started rumours about after the rumour that I was apparently depressed and suicidal back in 2015. Not, wait a sec. Let's go right back to 2015 when I found out that Giovanni forged my signature on a document. So, this is 2 years after I found out in 2013 that he'd been spreading bullshit stories and George Jacobs didn't believe me. For an example, in March 2013, allegedly, I was in my apartment all day for the entire month. I was so, depressed and suicidal, having my issues, and I couldn't leave the apartment. Yeah. So Giovanni actually, he started, I've got a document where he forged a medical certificate to get him off work. And then he actually did go and see George Jacobs and was, apparently, all upset and distraught. The guy should be locked up because apparently he's so distraught that George Jacobs actually wrote him a letter to say Justin needs caring for. And this is what's gone on for years. So, no, Giovanni's never been a carer. So don't start making up bullshit that I was having a breakdown when someone's committed fraud since 2009, gotten away with it, and then forged my signature. So March 2013, I wasn't in the country, and I've asked people to check immigration records. I wasn't in the country. This was so Giovanni could get the Mardi Gras and everything leading up to the Mardi Gras off work without anyone knowing, and turn my apartment into a sex drug pit while I was away overseas. See, I wasn't in Australia in March 2013. Giovanni knew that leading up to the date. So he knew this because I'd gone through the green card process. I actually started my application back in 2011 when I left Giovanni. This is not unusual considering this is something that's been discussed many times since 2001. And myself applying for a green card to the US when I was even first in the US in 2001. It was brought up again around 2006, 2007 back when I was with John Cabino. And even my neighbour at the time, which is Jeremy Patterson, put me on to, he said there's the green card lottery, the diversity visa, which he actually went through. I was like, oh, okay. Still didn't do anything about it. I was busy, studies and so forth. So then, like I said, I met Giovanni back in August 2008. Didn't really start socialising with him until after September 2008. That's when it all started. Giovanni Consalvo was living in a share house in Kensington with a lady called Paula, her last name starts with V. She's moved to Nimbin because she's a drug fucked loser. Sorry, but these are the people that he was living with in a share house. People that are like-minded to him that use drugs. He had a mattress, an Xbox, and a TV. That was it. He had nothing when he moved into my place. So he came over to stay. Actually, not just that. In December 2008, asked if I could put his parents up. Now, I was still sort of, I'm in an hour and I was going to go back to my ex-partner, John Cabino. I was like, yeah, been a nice person, so I'll let his parents stay at my place in December 2008. So with all my beautiful furniture, assets, belongings. Giovanni, after that, just come over with a suitcase and stayed. So Giovanni or Gio or Jonathan Craig, like his mother's name's Dawn Carpenter, so it is a very Scottish convict name, which she is. She's not Italian. So his name originally was Johnny or Jonathan Craig. Anyway, despite that, it's not here or there. So I've said several times to people, why don't you look at proof of my life before Gio, considering you're making so many lies up about me. There's not one bit of truth in any information that's been said since 2009. I'm the one wearing the blunt of the damage for it. But I'm not the one that said it. And that's the thing. I'm not the one that's gone around and said this. I'm not one that's done. I'm not the one that said I needed a carer. I had no idea until I get back from overseas and I'm going for the green card process and I find out that George Jacobs contacted the crisis group and other organisations about me and was this guy saying to people bullshit about me. George Jacobs did. And he said, oh, well, I've had Giovanni here, so, and George Jacobs then going, well, I saw Giovanni and how he was, so I believe him. It's like, I'm not in the country. So George Jacobs believed Giovanni's bullshit. This is where it started. I'm like, you're a fuckwit. He's a fuckwit. George Jacobs is an absolute fuckwit to do this. And I met George Jacobs and Giovanni Consalvo at the same time. And here's the other thing. Other people in Surrey Hills where I lived, even recently, we're going, oh yeah, I remember Gio, he had the restaurant. This is what Giovanni does. He goes, yeah, I used to have a restaurant. I'm like, no, Gio, they're not talking about you. They're talking about my partner, John Cabino, who had a restaurant in Mossman. So he manipulates because they're like, oh, but he was so good to you after you were mugged. I'm like, I never knew Gio when I was mugged. That's John. Gio, John, similar. Both shaved heads. Both of them had shaved heads. And it's John who these people knew. So even the area where I lived in Surrey Hills, they were saying, no, you know, Gio was so great to Justin when he was mugged after work. And I'm like, I never knew Giovanni when I was mugged after work. Never knew him. Like I keep saying for years, what has this got to do with Gio? I never knew him when I was mugged. I was with John. Two different people. It's you lot that can't differentiate the difference between two people. Why? Because one's John, one's Gio, and they're both shaved head. But they're completely different people. That happened. That happened today. That happened last year when I was catching up with Darren in Surrey Hills. And he's going, oh yeah, I remember him. I was like, you don't. You remember John. So, yeah, that happened. There was that. So, never had a breakdown. I won't have anything to do with my family after this shit. Okay, and the family on my dad's side, which caused all the trouble. The family on my dad's side. So let me see, Auntie Linda, Auntie Sharon, their children, Fiona, Joan, Meredith, and Jeffrey. Oh, we love Gio. That's great. That group of people, dad's sisters and my cousins, never knew me at all. They did not know me before October 2007. So there's a divide in my dad's family. And my dad went with his older sister, Sandra. I think the two brothers were off together. My grandparents, I still saw them. They took the other sister's side. So there was an argument years ago in the family. And Stanley and Ruby. And like even Ruby didn't see my auntie when she was dying of cancer. So her own daughter, Sandra. So there's a big divide in the family for years. One of my cousins, Rebecca, had nothing to do with Nan. Ruby, I saw Nan all the time because I was neutral to this war that went on in my family. I'm in the middle of it all. So when Auntie Sandra passed away in 2001, I saw Dad's other sisters at that funeral and their children. Just briefly said hello. And it wasn't until Nan died, because I used to always keep in touch with Ruby. I used to always go to Ruby's house at Long Beach, or Nan and Pop's place. It didn't tell Dad, although Dad knew, because Dad didn't speak to his mother. He took his sister's side. Anyway, so I don't think Dad spoke to his mother for about 15 years. Anyway, but I did. I used to even get off the train and then get the bus. Just to get off the train at Woy Woy, get the bus into Edelong and go and see Nan before I went back to Empire Bay to Dad's. And I'd always saw Nan. Just go and have hot lunch with Nan. Anyway, I was close to Nan. I loved Ruby. And I basically used to go and see Nan because I wasn't... And her new husband, she had a second husband, Keith. So my grandfather, Stanley Fleming, is her first husband. She married Keith. It was a toy boy. I don't know. Nan must have been about 70. She remarried. And anyway, so I'm not a threat in the family. So I was allowed to see her. Where my dad's sister, Sandra's son, Shane, wasn't allowed to see her. Basically, because of the, I don't know, all the politics and drama. So I used to rock up and Keith was fine, like her new husband. And I used to go and see Nan. And I used to sit there mainly to talk about Pop, because Pop passed away when I was 7 or 8. And I was always, wanting family history and information and so forth. And then it wasn't Nan, it was Nan's brother, Uncle George. So George Hill, who lived down the road. So anyway, long story short, so how we connected was Nan passed away in October 2007, and we thought, oh, stuff this. We might as well just keep in touch. So I started keeping in touch with Auntie Linda, Auntie Sharon, and I love Auntie Sharon, love Auntie Linda, I don't have anything to say, but all I'm going to say is they started shit. They all jumped on Giovanni. It's like, oh, we'd love him. I'm like, yeah, because he's fake. Like, seriously, he's fucking fake. So of course you would. So I only met them the month before I was mugged after work. I was mugged and robbed on my way home from work November 30, 2007. So I only met that side of the family, or my dad's sisters. Even though I was close to Dad, I only met Dad's sisters and their children and reconnected with them 1 month before I was mugged after work. So they have no idea about anything to do with me or my life. None at all. So when they're opening their mouth up like they did in the last 9 years, especially Fiona, which is exactly what Fiona Woods did. Maiden name's Williams, her mother, Sharon Fleming, or Sharon Williams, her married name. Sharon Fleming's dad's older sister. It's like, but you're opening your mouth up about stuff you know nothing about me. And I've already got issues with my mum's side and never been close to family members, was only ever close to my grandparents, my mum's parents, Reg and Lola, and my nan's mother, my great-grandmother, Mary, and her brother, so nan's uncle, which is, his real name's Leo Patrick Sayer. We call him Uncle Fred. So I already had issues, and I was like, next minute, here we are. So no, I was never suicidal. And that's the other thing. Never suicidal. I never stole Baxter. I brought Baxter. So there was some bullshit going on that, because all this social media crap. I'm like, I don't care. From one junkie to the other, I'm reading this shit going, well, these people are just all junkies. Only a junkie would believe this stuff that was getting said across social media about me. I brought my dog from some low-life deadbeat. That was it. I purchased my dog. I transferred. He told me not to transfer the $2,000 straight away. Wait till he found the dog that he wanted. So I did. I transferred the money in December. I brought the dog in April. I transferred the money in December. The paperwork was through. He's my dog, and that was it. I told people to butt out, mind their own business. There was that. Then I got stalked and harassed. I got accused of being depressed and suicidal. Never did. Got accused of having a breakdown. Didn't. But if you like the acting scene from 2017 when I was getting surveillance, watch what's coming up. That's it. It wasn't really a service dog, except, like I said to these organisations, I said, look, in the US, which is where I hold a green card to, the service dog industry says you're going to have your dog trained and marked off for your vet as a service dog if you have asthma. If you have asthma or mobility problems, and I do have asthma and I do have mobility problems. That's what it is. It was me spoiling my dog. I don't care. It's my dog. I can spoil him. I brought him in the middle of his first knee surgery in April 2015. Of course I'm going to spoil the dog. Why not? Never had any money problems. Again, that's Giovanni. So when all this started in 2015, I still had over 100,000 saved in the bank, and I had police harass me over this, thinking I was some drug. So apparently, I was going to go and sell drugs, because apparently that's who I am as a person. Seriously? Really? Oh, apparently I use drugs, because apparently that's who I am as a person. Really? No idea, but thanks for slandering me. And I'm still putting up with this to date, where no one's got me a solicitor to fix it. So, no, I didn't have any money problems. I moved out of my apartment temporary for 6 months and left Giovanni there by himself. And why not? He's caused that much trouble. I moved out in April 2015, and he had lived a free life since he moved into my place in Surrey Hills on Cleveland Street. So I was in apartment 1, 392 Cleveland Street, so I was the bottom floor. And he moved in there. So why not? He lived for free the entire time, right up until I was like, that's it. You know, I find out all this bullshit that you've said about me isn't true. I need a break. Like the shit that I found out that he was telling people, I'm like, that's it. I need a break from this. No wonder everything's going pear-shaped with my workers' comp. No one's listened to me. No one's even asked me if any of what was said was true. You know, yeah, I was mugged after work, but Jesus Christ, the stuff that was being said behind my back, you know, they must think I'm a freaking babbling mess. You know, not someone that actually wasn't a babbling mess and looked at the fact going, oh, all right, I've got 10 years part salary payment, so that gives me 10 years to work on my health and recover from the injuries so I can return to work in 2017. I'm going to go back to my studies in design like I studied in the 90s. That's what I did. That's so simple, not the bullshit running around lies that Giovanni and everyone else was telling about me. So that went on. Then you've got social workers, groups, organisations, ACOM, Bobby Goldsmith, Reach Out, Crisis Group, all these crap that was like, oh, but apparently I needed caring for this shit. Cooking, cleaning, and crap like that. It's like, this is ridiculous. All started off, it was low bad in 2015. And then apparently I had money issues. No, that was Giovanni. Giovanni had money issues. Since I met him, he was struggling in massive amounts of debt. If the government did their job, they would easily be able to go back to 2008 and look at his credit history in 2008 to what he had, which was no assets, no belongings, and well over $60,000 worth of debt. Plus, he also had to pay some child support debt at the time as well. He was never going to get out of what he owed in debt. He owed, like, you know, the equivalent to what I had in savings. And I had over $140,000 just in one savings account. In 2008, that savings account I kept right up into 2018. So I didn't touch it. That was from the sale of my house and some fixed term deposits. So when I met him, I owned my sports car. So he's telling people I spend money on clothes and stuff. The same clothes. You can see it. If anyone bothered looking at photos of me before I met him, you'll see the same jackets, shoes, clothes, accessories, jewelry, ornaments, furniture, You know, sold one sports car and bought another one with it. There was no, what was it? Someone tried to make this out to be, hang on, insurance fraud. I'd like to know how, because I never had insurance, and the only thing that I ever went through was when I was mugged after work. So no insurance fraud. I was actually mugged and robbed after working in Glasgow Coma Scale 13, and all I was paid for that was part salary payment for 10 years. When my neighbours had a house fire, that was all over social media. My neighbours, not me. I keep saying this when Giovanni wants to tell people, oh, he hasn't recovered from the trauma from the house fire. I'm like, can you stop making up stories? Because that was our neighbour's house fire that affected our place. So people ask, well, why'd you move from Surrey Hills? Because I loved it there. I lived there for the longest time. It's like, oh, my neighbour had a house fire, and that spread to neighbouring properties. I was one of those neighbouring properties. Like, can we stick to facts? That's a problem here. There's people that just shit their mouth off and over-exaggerate bullshit. Yeah, okay, you had to move, and it did damage a lot of my belongings. But it wasn't our house fire. It was our neighbour's house fire that spread to our place. So it spread into our place from the neighbour's house. Like I said, like when he's running around in 2017 saying he hasn't recovered from this, I've had people come up to me thinking that we had something happen. I was like, no, our neighbour's place spread into our place. And that's what happened. So can we just stick to facts instead of Giovanni big noted himself? Oh, big noted himself so much. Oh, God. Like he told Matt O'Rourke from the Reach Out organisation, you've got no idea what I've got to do for Justin. Oh, he understood. Oh, he understood so much what Giovanni had to do all these years, really, because I'm waiting to find out. Because he didn't cook, barely cooked, unless he was showing off to my dad's side of the family. Barely cooked, never cleaned. He never, ever cleaned. He doesn't wash, didn't vacuum, didn't mop. That was me. Wouldn't let him use my good vacuum cleaner, and rightfully so, because I left it with him when I moved to America, and he had it less than a week and he broke it. So didn't clean, didn't cook, didn't do anything except go out socialising all the time. Like I kept telling people, I've barely seen him. Barely see him. I mean, there'll be days when I haven't seen him for days on end. He went to work and he didn't come home because he had drinks after work and he was off partying. He was out partying all the time. So, yeah, this bullshit that he was a carer, that's why he had to have the government, funded money for carer, because he was doing this to help us. No, he wasn't. He's doing it to help himself. He's just some gay guy that goes clubbing, uses crystal meth, gets fisted in the arse, and then lies about other people, and I'm an easy target. And that's the fact. I'm this fucking easy target with an asshole of a family on both sides that, oh, well, he found the right person to do it to. And this is what's gone on for 9 years. Seriously. And all I did when some asshole of an organisation started harassing my life in Sydney, I played a prank on them. That's it. 2016 to 2018, I'm being a smart ass to the losers because I already said they have wrong information. Like in 2017, when I'm being a smart ass to Mark Hanna going, I've lost everything. That's just a monologue from the movie Arthur in the 80s. It's a monologue. I've used that monologue before when I went to acting classes. Or the one about, friends and this shit. Someone tried to make me out to be mentally disabled. I'm like, so you're twisting my physical injuries and, chronic immune issues into mentally disabled now. Good on you. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to answer back as a fucking dickhead to you. Like I did. And then it was like, he's using drugs. That's funny. Because it was the best time to accuse me of using drugs. There was so much blood and urine reports getting done during that period because I had issues with my immune. So I was like, yeah, I'm using drugs, yeah. Which is why I played a prank even more on people when I was walking around going, being a smart ass, going, oh, hi, Nana Ruby, pretending to be high on drugs. Seriously. Like, wasn't the best acting. I just tried to channel what I did in the film back in 2007 and the acting classes back in 2006. But it worked. Oh, kind of worked, because that's why some people thought I was mentally retarded. It's like, no, I was just pretending I was high on drugs because somebody made up a story that I was using drugs, but I don't. So I was being a smart ass back. Just being a smart ass. And then a guy that was a friend of Brett Aikenhead's, well, he told me he was a friend of Brett Aikenhead's, some low-life scumbag Peter Fry, and equally the other low-life scumbag who apparently these guys are all connected, Mark Hanna. They did drug me on G to make me look a certain character I wasn't. Realised this back in 2016, freaked the shit out of me, and happened again in 2017. So yeah, those two scumbags did, but I'm sure they will never face criminal charges because those two people are the most entitled pieces of shit like you find in Australia. So I am standing up and telling the truth, like you can see here in the video. Really, I just had my life destroyed. I look at the police force that we have and I think, seriously? That's your useless sort of attitude that I'm there telling you the truth, but yeah, sure. Let's go this way. Make me look like the bad person. Why not? It's really easy to do when you look at both sides of my family. They do it to me all the time, my entire life. Why would I have anything to do with them? Why would I really? That's the thing. I wasn't going to go to my nan's funeral. Yeah, I was close to my nan, but that closeness changed in 2004 when she wouldn't stand up to her daughters. And literally in May 2018, I wasn't going to go to my nan's funeral. I didn't care that she died. Couldn't care less when I look at the fact that here's my life getting wasted and destroyed, and here's the family she's related to, and they're just being assholes to me. So why would I go and be a part of this when I'm looking at them going, but you're a fucking asshole to me. You're an absolute asshole. I'm getting lied about, and I'm turning up to this family going, I'm getting lied about. And they're being a smart going, oh, so what? There's rumours said about us all the time. I'm like, different if it's rumours compared to what's actually now concreted in with organisations, and this is damaging my life. You can't just help. Well, I just need stuff verified and some wrong information corrected. No. And they weren't going to help. They were never going to help because they were actually even part of it. And then the lies. I don't care. Seriously, if I catch up for a coffee with Meredith, my cousin, my dad's side, I don't care. If I do or I don't, it doesn't benefit my life one bit. If I keep in touch with either side of the family and any family members that are left to date, if I do or I don't, it doesn't benefit my life. It doesn't make any difference to my life whatsoever if I ever even see my own twin sister again. It's not going to benefit me. It's not going to resolve the last 9 years. The only thing that's going to fix and benefit me is if a solicitor does their job like they should have done in 2016, looked at the documents, like I said, what was true, verified it, go to those organisations, tell them to correct the false information, exonerate myself basically, restore my credibility and move forward. But all I've had for 9 years is where these scumbags have tried to cover up the fact that, for example, Giovanni forged my signature and committed fraud. Then they're having them turn around and bully me back and try to lie about me and turn me into a character I'm not. Another one, Mark Henner, good one at that, is a junkie. Mark Henner's a junkie. I mean, if you look at them all, in Giovanni Consalvo, where he uses ice so he can get fisted. Mark Henner, Peter Fry, Brett Aikenhead, Stephanie DeSalis. These people are nothing to do with me, but they started involving themselves into my life since 2015. Why? I didn't involve them into my life. They just started turning up. Then I'm getting accused of being a character I'm not. I'm like, okay, easy to pick on me when I've got health problems. That's what it was. So easy to try and make me out to be a character I'm not when I've got health problems. Had pneumonia back in May 2016 and was trying to rest and recover from it. Yeah, you can still tell that I feel weak and fatigued, like I spoke to Gail Matthews last week about this. Sorry, last week, beginning of this week about this. Spoke to Prof. Brew last week about this. Gail Matthews this week about my chronic fatigue. And, Gail Matthews was like, well, people get chronic fatigue from having COVID. It's like, yeah, but I had a seroconversion with meningitis. Then I had a series of pneumonia after that. My body's weak and fatigued. And the worst thing is that people have used this to turn around and say stuff about me that isn't true. To say, oh, well, he's sleeping all the time. He's using drugs. Like, I don't use drugs. I've got chronic fatigue. My body aches. It kills me to be up and doing stuff. But the lies about me. But my mother turned around. So this is what, my mother's tried to use it. Everyone's tried to use it. It's bullshit. Yeah, this all started in 2015. I mean, I got harassed. What did police do? I've rung them enough. They didn't do anything. I said to them last week, well then fine. I'm getting harassed and you've been a smartass about it. So if I smack the person in the face, then we can go to court and a magistrate can, get to the truth of it then. Because that person's breaking pride and privacy laws. Why are you allowing this to go on in 2 countries towards me? Since 2015. I don't even know these people that you affiliated me with. What started to be a smart ass back towards lies about me has turned into 9 years of hell, and only in Australia would that happen, because in America it wouldn't. I'll tell you why it wouldn't in America. Because as soon as you have anything to do with where it's damaging your credibility, that would affect your finances. you would go straight to an attorney and say, well, this person has just said this comment about me that isn't true. You would then take it to, so you sign an agreement with the attorney that whatever damages, they get a percentage out of it. You go to court. If a government worker did it, you go to court. If a police officer did it, you go to court. Councils do it, councils can be sued. The legal system works. People have this attitude about suing people. It's like, but that legal system works. Do you know why? Because it stops people like attacking someone like I've been attacked, easy target in the last 9 years. It stops someone else having to put up with being defamed or like defamation and discrimination. So it prevents someone like myself being the victim of defamation and discrimination. And people are more wary of what they say about somebody. They're not going to do it. Where it's going to damage my life, like it's damaged my living home environment, my credibility, my studies, my work, my career, my assets, my belongings, my savings, everything I've done in my life. So where the US legal system works is that it stops this. So if I had had all this hassle in America, even though it did go from Australia to the US, I spoke to a attorney in Hartford, Connecticut, who said that it's Australia, you've got to deal with it on Australian law. We don't have jurisdiction. Like if it happened here in Connecticut, we could act for you. But it didn't happen here in Connecticut, it happened in Sydney. So even though it happened in Sydney and was affecting my life in America, they still couldn't. So let's see what they say after they get these stuff notarized and if they can help with it. So yeah, that actually happened, and I did go and see the attorney and he said, yeah, look, if that had have happened to you in 2016 here in America, then you could have seen us and we were in the right. If that police officer said something that was untrue, or the fact that the police have actually got you tagged in with your stepfather's family, this is stuff that we can all act on. And police officers are brought into line in America all the time. We bring the government into line. That's what makes it a fair country. That's what makes the US a country that's freedom. It really is freedom, where Australia is communist. We don't have a freedom of rights in Australia. It's not a country of freedom. It's a country of socialist communism. There's no freedom in Australia like the US.